think daycare is open that early. Are we, Michael, are we good?
Why can't the nanny take her to daycare, take her to preschool?
I couldn't hear. What? Okay. He's going to let us know. It's not working yet.
Good morning.
I don't think it's working yet.
Yeah,
Good
no,
morning.
they said we're on.
Oh, well.
Action.
I bet you we're on some platforms. but
Michael
maybe not
Rollins, are we on? Oh, we're on.
We're on everywhere.
Can I say a good broadcaster always knows when they're on? Hi, everybody.
I am not a good broadcaster.
Broadcasting 101.
Yeah. So we are talking today about, what's our first topic? Oh, yes. The crazy story in Southeast Portland at Arleta Elementary, where the student, a third grader, brought crack cocaine to school.
Yes.
And then gave it to another third grader in his class, and that kid swallowed it. The kid is okay, we're told. Police are investigating now. We have a whole story on this because there was a big school board meeting last night where parents were furious. They've written a letter. They want the principal to be on leave and to be investigated. Here's KGW's Morgan Romero.
I was upset. I was angry.
Angry because her daughter is in the fourth grade class where a student gave another kid white powder. The school sent an email that afternoon. Later, she got a phone call from the principal.
Disbelief.
Explaining that white powder was crack cocaine. But that call didn't go out to every family. And parents we talked to say only a portion even got the initial email.
I got the first email and I didn't even think it was anything serious. I thought, oh, it's a pixie stick that some kid brought to school and, you know.
Most are in the dark, like Denise Cassignon, getting information from those in the know.
I wish that there had been more transparency and that parents, the whole parent community had been notified that this had happened so that we can talk to our kids.
These moms say the mishandling pushed them to send letters to the district over the weekend, calling for Principal Kruger to be put on administrative leave while PPS investigates. More than 50 other parents did the same.
Parents of students from kindergarten through 8th grade describe poor communication, administrative chaos, equity issues, and an overall breakdown of systems and protocol.
I feel that her presence would keep the investigation from being completely thorough.
They feel outraged Kruger and the nurse didn't call 911 and waited to call the student's parents.
That should have been the first call.
This straw broke the camel's back.
We believe this incident occurred in an environment that has been made hostile and chaotic by Principal Kruger. And we need district leadership to work with parents and staff to heal our school community so that our children can truly thrive.
It's been hard. It has not been a great environment. I have thought about keeping my children home.
Morgan Romero, KGW News.
So again, those parents really upset, calling for that principal to be on leave and to investigate. Police are investigating where the heck this crack cocaine came from.
Absolutely.
So really the crux of this story is, you heard in Morgan's reporting, the principal and the nurse and the school district confirmed this with us, did not call 911 until after they called the child who ate it to call their parents. Wouldn't you want police to come over, just let them handle it,
because
right?
initially, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't know what that white
Oh, our
powder
assignment
was.
editor just saying they never called 911, actually.
They never did, or you never should?
No, they never did.
911 because they observed the child and then ended up calling the child's parents. Child's parents came, took the child to the hospital.
Got it.
So why would you never call 911?
You would have to. Poison control, 911,
Right.
something. If you don't know what kind of white powder a child
and the district
ingested.
saying the nurse said the student seemed okay.
Assistant nurse,
Assistant nurse.
who's an employee for the Multnomah Education Service.
Can we get a microphone on Bruce and
I
have you
can
sit
hear him.
down?
I mean, I can hear
Bruce
him.
knows,
in my ear.
Bruce Williams
But-
is one of our managing editors here, one of our assignment editors, and has been covering the story for a week now at least.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what was it? The third grade class got a letter or an email originally saying, hey, there's a white powder that's been found.
Right, there's a white powder. We've done a great job in handling this. Nothing to worry about. That went out, I believe, to the whole school, that note.
How long
after?
I think in our story, that's why parents were mad. They didn't get the initial.
Well, they didn't get the follow-up with what it was. The people in the class got the follow-up that, oh, it turned out to be crack cocaine.
But the whole school felt like they should know that this was happening
Yeah,
at their
absolutely.
Yeah, so they're understanding what
Yeah.
you said.
And our viewers are chiming in
Thank you,
saying the
Bruce.
exact same thing that you were expressing there a moment ago. It's like, geez, you have to call 911. Jamie Ralston says, and good morning, Jamie. I know you watch us on the stream all the time. So Jamie says, you don't take a chance on another child's life. You just call 911. And a lot of our viewers are saying, put him on leave. They're saying that this principal should be fired. And I think, obviously, these parents would be okay with that, but you can't just fire someone. You have to put them on leave, investigate. But if it ends up being as bad as it sounds like it is, then yes, firing is probably
We have another
the
one.
likely outcome.
Adareb, sorry if I'm butchering your name, but
that's right.
he says they are mandatory reporters who didn't report.
That is a
I
great
mean, I do
point.
feel that that is absolutely.
And just out of an abundance
Neglectful.
of caution, why would
Absolutely.
you not?
Absolutely.
You know, no, I mean, what if it was anthrax or like something, you know, you don't know what a
In
white
this day and age,
substance is. It
exactly.
could be anything, or Clorox or bleach or
Right.
something.
I mean, I feel like there are multiple victims here because, my Lord, a third grader,
That is so
7 or
scary.
8 years old, has
Right.
access to crack cocaine and is bringing it to school.
Yeah.
That's absolutely my first question. Where the heck did
And
this
then what
kid
if
get
that's
this?
your student that's like, oh, okay, you know, when kids are dinglings and they'll, you know,
But they're
on a
babies.
dare
I thought
or
they're
who knows
babies,
what.
Exactly.
Yeah, who knows what the circumstance was? Maybe he told him it's candy. You don't know how that ended up in that kid's mouth.
Right.
But the fact that it was able to end up in his mouth while he's at school is
You wouldn't
absolutely
call police about that.
disturbing.
Yeah. So and I don't know if producer Jess, you can pull up my Facebook post because people have put some really good comments that we could read. Lisa Walsh says to fire the parents of the child that brought the drug to school. They obviously are not parenting. Then fire the principal and the nurse. I would also teach my child not to do something because some other kid told them to.
Yeah.
Tanya Morgan says this was not handled properly. 911 should have been called immediately. Police for the kid that talked the victim into it, and an ambulance for the victim. How is a school nurse going to know what to look for in an elementary school? Do they have Narcan? And yes, all parents should have been notified at the same time, not here and there. I want to know what is happening with the kid who had the crack to start with. Police are investigating. Maureen Thompson there, the last comment you see on the bottom right. As a parent, I would have been furious to hear about this secondhand and bad judgment call on the nurse for not calling 911 right away. What is happening to the child and parents that brought the crack to school?
What we learned from last night, there was the meeting there. The parents got together, and we first had the story in our news last week. But last night, the parents met.
School board meeting,
School
yeah.
board meeting. Thank you. And this is not the first problem that they've had with the school. It's what came out of that meeting, and that they've had a list of problems that they're angry about. This is obviously the latest, and probably, I'm hoping, the worst that's happened. But there apparently have been a lot of
bullying issues, I think, and some type of scheduling issues that they were not happy with the principal. But then the principal sends out a thing saying, we did a great job, we handled it.
It's just crazy because we think about silly things like, you know, don't bring that toy to school. You know, like simple stuff like that. Like, you know, and this is like, don't bring that crack cocaine to school. I cannot imagine that this ended up in a kid's school bag or however he got it into that school.
Well, I mean, we don't
Pass it
know.
out.
Did he get it at home? Did he find it walking to
ground?
school
Yeah.
on the
Right.
ground?
You're
I mean, we
right.
don't know. We shouldn't speculate, really, where the kid found it.
And I'm not saying he got it at home.
it.
I'm just saying that a third grader somehow got this in his hands and brought it to school. And didn't think to himself, because that to me is a parenting issue as well. Didn't think, I got to, you know, maybe let someone know about this. This seems weird. No, I'm going to hand it out to someone?
They're so
kids
young.
don't know,
Are you
you
kidding?
I wouldn't know.
No.
I have no idea what cocaine or
That
crack
is
Maybe that
was
student
like.
had no idea what it was.
You don't tell another student to eat something, though. I mean, my kids know
you
better
do.
than to
All
tell.
kids
No,
are-
they don't.
Yeah.
My kids would not take something they didn't know what it was and say to another kid, put this in your mouth. In third grade, they would not have done that. I'm
In my
telling you.
elementary school, that would
maybe,
happen.
and, I mean,
And a lot of
you
kids
know your
wouldn't. If you
boys.
don't know, and the kids who don't do that, I look and go, there's something wrong there.
I remember
That's
putting
what you
stuff up my
tell
nose,
your
like as a
kids.
kid,
That's
because
what
you
you
just
preach
like.
to your kids.
Yeah.
That's what you
Yeah.
hope that they will take. But they are still little ones who make completely, I mean, little kid, they're not thinking the same way that we are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the people who say, don't talk to strangers, don't go with that man. And then they put the hidden camera, the networks
they
have
do it.
done this.
No, you're right,
And
you're
I
right.
told my kid 100 times,
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
And they are little. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't, despite your
boy.
best
You're absolutely right.
efforts.
As a parent, I would just hope, like, the school knows, you know, you just think, oh, the school knows what they're doing. And, like,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't, even the nurse, like, if the principal says, you know, whatever about not calling the police, I would think the nurse would be like, let's get some medics over here who
Absolutely.
know more than I do,
Absolutely.
especially an
Yeah.
assistant nurse.
And I have no idea what was in their mind and why they did what they did, because they clearly, I mean, I guess they thought it was appropriate, but the appearance of it, makes it look like you're trying to cover something up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't just immediately call, tell, reveal, it puts you in a position, true or not, like you're trying to cover your ass, basically.
Yeah.
We don't know all the details, right? We don't know what was the kid showing some sort of signs. How did he end up in the nurse's office? Was it immediately like I swallowed something I shouldn't have and now I'm here, or was he showing signs of illness in the classroom?
According to the Multnomah County Health District or something that runs this nursing program, the student seemed okay, is their direct quote,
Right.
and that is why she did not call 911.
Right, but I'm
But
saying
I
he
mean,
ended
you
up in the
don't know
nurse's
heart
office.
rate, right? I mean,
Right.
I think you swallow something and they're like, oh, let's go. But I mean, call some, EMTs, paramedics, monitor his heart rate. Maybe you have to pump his stomach in
Right.
20 minutes. I mean, my gosh.
I get your
that
point,
is
though,
scary.
Drew. I'm not ending up in the nurse's office unless I don't feel good.
Right. I mean,
Right.
it could have been a case where if this was given to a child on the playground, they intake it, they go about the school day. If he's not showing any signs of being ill, like he could have went home, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying
Or maybe
something
a
must have
teacher
happened.
saw it happen, saw him swallow something, and
Maybe
was
so.
like, ugh.
So Jeff Lucas is asking, why don't we know where it came from by now? That's a week ago, and police should have been on it by now.
They may know, and we
They
just
may know,
you
they just
It's a
haven't
privacy
reported it to us.
thing.
Yeah.
I would 100%
Minors are
Unless there's
guarantee
some
it.
kind of
You bet.
charges
We may
coming.
never know that.
But yeah,
Exactly.
we just may not know. Anyway, that is we'll keep on tabs with that, and we will pass along to you if we do hear about any charges in that case or what happens to the principal. Okay, our other much more fun topic today is the voting poll that we gave you today, because NBC, the Today Show, is doing a story on productivity and the 4-day work week. Would you work like 4 10-hour shifts to have Friday or a Monday off?
Absolutely.
Sounds
would.
great.
I
right?
love
Yeah.
it.
We don't see the wrong in it.
Yeah,
Like, what
we
could be the
can't do
downside?
it. But
But
I
why
think
can't we, Nina?
'cause
That's the
news
attitude that's
never
keeping us from
stops.
doing it.
Yes, I
Honestly,
agree.
I have this scenario in my head.
Tell
it's
me.
100 years from now, and our great-grandkids are saying, do you believe that our great-grandparents actually worked
in a
5
way.
days a week? That's craziness. I can't imagine a life like that. Why don't we just adopt this wholly? I mean, yes, you're right, Rod. Some people have to work Saturdays and Sundays. Some people have to work different days. Somebody's going to work those days, but we're never going to work 5 in a row. That's the idea here. We're going to make it work so that we're only working 4 in a row, and there will be longer days, but we will have 3 days to recover. Well, it will be lovely.
You know, and I thought of a couple things. I mean, number one, we sit in this building. Raise your hand in this building if you only work, on average, 8 hours a day.
no way. It's always
No hands go up.
You're probably already working
People in
10
this
hours.
building are already working 10 hours a day. In many cases, they work 2 hours a day for free,
Yes.
although they shouldn't, but they do. So it makes me think, well, so this mysterious 10-hour day that we're going to go to, is that really going to become 12 or 13 hours? Because right now our 8-hour day is really more like 10 hours for many people.
Yeah, well, Drew and I sit next to each other, and depending on what we're working on, there have been times, I mean, we get in
Yeah.
relatively at the same time,
You're a little
sometime in the
early, yeah.
3 o'clock hour, and it has been like 2:30 or 3, and we're still sitting at our desk working on something.
See, I think that once you're here, right? And kind of getting that work wheel started, it's different for us. We jump into the day, and we're basically on TV, and we go. But sometimes I know in some lines of work, it's hard every day to kind of get that wheel turning. And maybe it takes an hour to kind of get into your momentum. Well, you have to do that 5 times, and eventually your workday ends. But if you only had to get that wheel turning 4 times, and then you kept it going for longer hours that day, I think you would be more productive in the end.
So Microsoft experimented with this at some of their offices in Japan. They did a 4-day work week. Their productivity jumped by 40% in
Wow.
Japan, because they said they just feel so much more refreshed and like
Yeah.
ready to go. And they're doing so much more quality work on those 4 days because you're relaxing. But
and-
you kind of said
well-
you might spend more money than on the weekend.
Well, but first off, I'm going to assume that in many office places, your 4-day work week, what the boss demands that you get done is not going to change. You just have to get it done in 4 days versus,
Right.
and you have longer days by set schedule. But then I'm trying to think of all the negatives. So if you have a 3-day weekend, aren't you going to spend more money on average than if you had a
Oh, that's your
2-day
problem.
weekend?
You'll figure
Have
that
some
out.
self-control, grown man.
But it is
That
like
2-day
I would.
weekend is putting money in your pocket.
My husband works a 4-day week, and so he has to be at work at 6:30, and he's done at 5. That's a, I mean, it's more than
6:30
10
to 5
hours.
is 11 and a half, or 10 and a half hours.
10 and a half hours.
But he probably gets an hour
He works out. He
lunch.
works out for an hour. He's a firefighter. He works out
And
for
2
an hour.
15-minute breaks probably in there, too.
And yeah. And he's Fridays off, so he watches our daughter on Fridays, so we don't have the babysitter come. And he really likes it, but those days are long, he says.
Yeah.
But when she goes to daycare doesn't open until 7:30, so he would have to go to a 5-day work week.
Well, let's be honest. No one works 8 hours a day typically anymore. It's a 9-hour day for most people, right? You go to work for 9 hours. Somewhere in there, you get an hour break. So people don't work 9 to 5s. They usually work a 9 to 6 or an 8 to 5. I think that is common these days, and it's definitely the way it works in our news department. So we're not talking probably about a 10-hour day. It would be an 11. I'm thinking. I've got this worked out.
Pushing 12 if you have to get some extra work.
No, we've got 11-hour days with an hour lunch that you have to take.
Drew's going to the boss today.
So you're going to
with
come
this
in
idea.
maybe at 8 a.m. and you're going to leave at 7. That is a long-ass day. But you're going to have to, I still think that it's worth it in the end. You're going to have that 3-day weekend every single weekend. You're going to have more time with your family, more time with loved ones.
Well, I am, by the way, off this Friday, so and I'm trying to burn vacation before the end of the year. And what I find when I'm off on that Friday, personally, so away from work, I get all my stuff done. I get the grocery shopping done. I do the laundry. So when the weekend rolls around, I can actually enjoy it.
It's yours.
Instead of doing all those chores on Saturday and Sunday.
I need to learn from you, Braxton.
See?
I hate grocery shopping.
I am thinking out loud now. Now I'm thinking maybe that 8 to 7 doesn't work. Because if you are a parent,
it's a long day.
There is a child care issue there.
There is.
I don't know how parents make it work. I make it work at our house because we work so early. We're home by the time kids get home. My wife leaves after they go to school. I'm home when they get home from school. So not every situation is like that. So yeah, it would be 8 to 7 would be tough for parents. Not both parents are probably going to be able to work an 8 to 7 shift. But you know, people figure it out all the time, and a lot of people work from home. I'm just saying that I do think if we can figure out a 4-day work week, it would be better life for all.
Jamie Ralston says 1 day off a week is good for doctor's appointments and errands, so you don't have to take time off work so often. That's a great point. Because people who don't work our crazy schedules, because I'm usually off officially at 12:30, you have all afternoon.
Everything's
to
open,
do
the bank,
things.
and whatever.
Yeah,
You can
that's
get things
good.
done.
You know what? And it may not be that everyone's off on Fridays or everyone's off on Mondays. And maybe at your workplace it's like, hey, you're going to be off Tuesday, you'll be off Wednesday. You know, you may have to, but that would still
Today
be
Show
good.
interviewed like a graphic design firm that is doing this 4-day work week, and they let employees choose whether they have Friday or Monday off.
Okay.
And you were saying you'd actually maybe take Monday
Well,
off
on
to
our
enjoy
shift,
Sunday better.
I would take Monday because we're kind of cheated on our Sundays on this shift because you have to get to bed that night. So I've started when I do take a day off, I kind of like taking Monday more than Friday because then I have the full Saturday with my family. I have the full Sunday night with my family.
There you go.
Which is really nice.
Jeff Strabel says we work 12-hour shifts at Nike, 3 days 1 week and 4 days the next. Nice if you can handle it. 4-day weekends are great.
Wow.
Yeah.
A 36 followed by a 48, but you always have at least a 3, if not a 4-day
It's
weekend.
like a cop schedule.
Yeah.
Almost. Huh.
I'm applying to Nike as soon as the stream is over.
no kidding.
That is, oh man, yeah. It's just the idea of, you know, is there anything better? Honestly, is there anything better
than being off?
No, Saturday mornings. Sunday morning doesn't even equate. It's a Saturday morning.
I saw a good tweet the other day. Somebody said on it was on Instagram, and they're like, "This is the point in your Saturday morning where you're either going to do 16 things today, or you're going to lay on the couch and do nothing." I was like, "That's so true."
That's true.
Well, by Sunday morning, I'm already thinking about, is that
I
last
know.
day?
It's just that dread kind of hangs
it
over
starts
you.
creeping in.
Like laundry.
I have
grocery
been
shopping.
that way, though, like the dread of going back my entire life, not of work, even at school. It's kind of like that Sunday night when you're little or in middle school or high school or whatever. You're like,
homework.
I know.
It's like you take a deep breath every week, right? It's like, okay, gotta get the.
You know, I mean, I love the idea, though. The first thing that you and I talked about, because I thought, you know, there are a lot of people that work a lot of jobs, and their salary, their take-home pay, heavily relies on overtime. And I wonder if the overtime structure would be, if you would be as apt to get overtime hours if you are scheduled for a 10-hour day as you are right now when you're scheduled for an 8-hour day. Because for a lot of people, that overtime is money they must have. And without it, they'd have to go find a part-time job somewhere else.
Something's wrong with the structure, though. If you say, hey, here's what you're going to make. Now get you'll get a lot more in overtime. Like, that shouldn't be set up that way, right?
But it is.
Here's your salary. Well, I
For a
guess
lot of people.
in some cases it may be. You got to restructure that. Hey, you're not going to get overtime in the system. We're not going to ask you to work a 13-hour day. It's going to be the 11-hour day with a break. No more overtime. So maybe the salary has to come up a little bit per hour. Maybe that's how they make that meet the person's needs. But you're right. This would probably eliminate overtime on a day-to-day basis.
I think you'd like the European model. Just more vacation in general.
What does she look like?
I don't know.
Thank you. What is the European?
I don't know. They kind of break.
I was slow. I'm getting old. I was slow on that one.
I wasn't slow. I thought of it
Yeah.
10 seconds earlier. I was like, can I say this? And will Brenda or Nina slap me?
Well, I mean, ultimately, this has to be sold to the people that own the companies, and the productivity line that Nina started the conversation
40%
with
better.
is a strong point. If they are convinced that productivity will actually go up in the companies they own.
I also think, especially in what we do, because putting together stories and telling people's life stories and doing the fun little things that we do takes creativity. And if you're slammed and tired all the time, you are not creative. Creativity needs a little bit of reflection and a little bit of relaxation and a little bit of pondering it so you can bring yourself at 100%. And I think that's one of, as in creative industries, that is something you're just always leaning in.
Oh, yeah. I know we're running out of time, but I wonder, what do you think most people, if you had to choose, let's go to a 4-day week, or choice 2 would be, let's mandate most Americans get a 3rd week of vacation, where right now the kind of standard model is 2 weeks. And I wonder what people would go, well, I mean, total hours-wise, I get it, the 10-day work week.
I think I would take 3-day weekends.
But to me,
seems more of a regular,
only
like,
2
mini
weeks of vacation a year is just horrible.
Yeah.
You're spending most of your life being an absolute slave to whoever you're working for at that point.
A lot of people weighing in. Some industries require overtime for over 8 hours a day, period. You're right, Jeff Lucas. Ryan Moon says he's a cook, so I always have Monday and Tuesday off. It was nice, Rob, when I had that schedule. I always made fun of those who had to get up Monday morning.
He's making fun of us?
Trish Nadral says, I have worked both 5 and 4 days a week. Seemed like I worked just as long of hours with the 5-day week as when I worked a 4-day week. She loved the 4 days a week schedule, though. Schedule allows for a day of chores, tasks, appointments, and time to recoup and enjoy the weekend more. Are we out of time?
Yes, we are.
No, this is going to go longer today. We're going to do
Bye,
a
you
longer
guys.
show
We'll see you
today.
tomorrow.
Yes.
No show tomorrow.
If this were a 4-day work week, we'd have more time to do the show today.